You're with the Birth Whisperer, sharing global wisdom for confident birthing. Today I am absolutely thrilled to introduce Marcia Montgomery. Marcia is a naturopath and a mother of 2 beautiful children. She has a 6-year-old and an 8-month-old boy, and I was lucky enough to be at her first birth. That's 6 years ago now, when I was pregnant with my first child. It was a very long labour, 3 days long. The active part of it was 60 hours long, and I was there for the last 15 hours with my big belly and doing my very best to support her with shiatsu, which is acupressure massage, and just to do whatever I could to help her feel more at ease in herself. As you can imagine, it was a pretty intense experience, a very challenging birth experience for Marcia, and today I'm going to ask her some questions about how that birth was different from her second and what she did to move on from the first experience and embrace the possibility of a totally different birth for number 2. So welcome, Marcia. I'm so pleased you're here.
It wasn't necessarily really traumatic for me at the time of the birth, but it was almost because I was in the process of the birth, I was just going with it and trusting and going with it and using my resources at the time as much as I could. But it's all the work that you do afterwards to process everything that I realised there was that trauma and the things that I didn't quite, I didn't feel happy about, having gone through or have to experience that way. There's a lot of uncertainty. I felt like, how was I going to be able to deal with, say, going to hospital and having interventions, or what would it be like if I wasn't able to have a vaginal delivery, or how was I going to be able to deal with that? And so letting go of those uncertainties, those fears, and with any kind of therapy that can resolve those things, I found really, really helpful.
So you'd encourage.
And I wanted to be really clear with myself to resolve any emotional traumas from the first birth, and make sure that I had all my tools available to me for the second birth. Talking to someone who can work through those fears and issues with you, or EFT, NLP, hypnobirthing, any of those sorts of therapies would be really good. And that's why I loved hypnobirthing. It really helped me to feel like I could resolve those fears and trauma, and also to prepare myself with some really deep relaxation in my body to remember how to stay in that centered place as much as I could. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We made the decisions to get body work and help much earlier on, when we felt like the birth wasn't progressing, and it really did the job. It did what we needed it to do, and the rest of the labour after that point was a lot more stronger and more active and progressive, and we ended up having a natural birth, even though it was intense and really at points unbearable, but we still managed to have a beautiful result, beautiful birth in a water birth at home. It was really, really good.
So
that it's possible to have a really different experience, and that you need to do as much as you can to resolve all of those traumas and fears, and prepare your mindset and your body for having a really different experience. Resolve the feelings and the conflicts coming up, and also communicate and work with our partner and our support people as much as possible to to get really clear about your vision and what your needs are. And also, remember that you don't know what's going to happen, so it's important to have that really clear intention, but also that fluidity and surrender, because you do need to go with whatever's happening. It's such a balance of holding the two things, the intention, but also the willingness to let go and allow these other processes and people involved to do their thing, and staying empowered within that. The more release you can do internally around your fear and everything that's constricting your body, the more relaxed and free your birthing can be. And in the end, it's so individual. It's so, you just don't know what's going to happen, and you can have the best intentions in the world, but you just do everything you can and just know that you've done the best that you can do. And